All right, hello and good morning, and welcome to Angels of Purpose Ministries, where we feature soul food, food for your soul. So this is also part of the Let's Talk About It series, but we're focusing on African American and Black pioneers all throughout the world, but as well specifically focusing on those in the United States. So yesterday, I think we talked about let me remember who I spoke on yesterday. Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, who was the architect of being able to create the caller ID. And she did that working with AT&T. So you can thank her for that. And today we're going to focus on, Miss Alice Parker, not to be confused with Alice Walker, Alice Walker is one of the great American novelists who wrote things like Color Purple and many other books. But this is Miss Alice Parker, and she was a central figure who got the patent in order to keep your homes warmed and to keep big towers and big buildings and a lot of units, what you call those apartments and all of those kind of things, and condos or that's building those big towers, being able to invent the first actually patent for central heating. And then of course others have made it a little bit better. But she was the first one, and she was very bold and did not allow anyone else to take credit for it. She went up there and told them, yes, I am a African female, black female who created this, and you're not gonna take this away from me. She got her patent. And she is the one who did that. So that again is Miss Alice Parker. I also wanted to talk about, cause I know I said I was going to do a female one day and a male another, but I put in, Alice Parker. But I want to also talk about a little bit, I did tell you yesterday a little bit about Musa. So I did one who was specifically to the American United States. And then this is a black, leader out of the world, right? So Musa, is known as being the richest black man ever. So when most people talk about him or anything like that, you really won't hear much about him except for probably African or black people or people of color historians talking about him a lot more so than anybody else, and posting stuff on YouTube from their research. So Musa was the ninth Mansa of the Mali Empire, which reached its territory peak during his reign. His reign peaked, of course, and it was more of the Mali Empire, what is now known today as Mali. And before him, his predecessor was Muhammad, his successor was Maga, but he was born in 1280, that's what they're thinking, and that he died somewhere in 1337, so about age of 57, okay? And during his reign, he had exceptional wealth that no one has been able to create or obtain. It was a whole lot of gold, a whole lot of everything. The richest person in the world, just not the richest black man, but the richest person in the world ever. And so want to talk about that, and why are we talking about Mansa Musa being the richest, wealthiest person in the world? Because there's a lot of times people try to distort and say that people of color, black people, Africans or African Americans, did not create anything or did not know anything before the Europeans or the colonists, which is not true. So this is why Angels of Purpose in our Let's Talk About It series, featuring our Black History Month and Black Innovators, is talking about this information, because we want to make sure everybody gets the correct information. People are inspired to go out and do their own research, that people spread the word and become griots, storytellers and historians, so that people never forget about people like Mansa Musa. So people never forget about Alice Parker, who was one of the first female blacks engineers to get a patent for the central heating. Without her, we would not have that. or we would not have had it as soon as we had it. And also everyone else that I've talked about before. So you can go down and list and look at the people that I've noted or stated in my videos, their inventions and different things. We will also, I think I have a posting too that list over 50 or 100 black innovators and what they did. And I do that in my classes and educating students, middle schoolers, and also adults. So that's why I'm up here now, because I need people to know that you are somebody. No matter where you come from, no matter what people try to say that a certain group is lazy or they're criminals, that is not so. A lot of our forefathers and a lot of our predecessors, our people who preceded us, did great things. And a lot of our people today currently are doing great things. A lot of our people in the future will do great things as long as this earth is up here. It doesn't matter what your gender, it doesn't matter what your ethnicity, it doesn't matter your nationality. Whoever you are, there's greatness in you. You come from greatness. You come from greatness. And so that is what I want to instill, especially focusing on this Black History Month, Black innovators. I like to talk more so about the African American females or the Black males in Africa that weren't talked about, or the Black females in Africa who scared away the who fought against the colonials, and their people weren't taken up under rule. There was one, and I want you to go research it. Research the part, I think it's now, was it now Zaire, Congo? But there was a great African female leader who didn't allow Europe to take over her area where she reigned. And they stayed independent. Also, you have different African females who fought off the European leaders for a long time before they, took over from another generation that can fight them off. We also have the different African leaders who tried to unite the whole continent of Africa together, who we know when that happened, the folks who didn't like that going on had them killed, right? And then in America, we know, most people know about Martin Luther King Jr. Most people know about Rosa Parks. Most people know about Malcolm X. Some people may know about Medgar Evers, who was shot dead in his driveway in front of his kids, right? And now in their he did a lot for the NAACP, just to tell you, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which I am a member and active in. So what I want people to know and realize is, no matter who tried to take away history, distort history, if you know your history, and whether you want to be looked at as a historian or a griot, which is a storyteller, we must continue to tell these stories. We must continue to let people know where they come from, who they are, whose they are, and the present, what is being done, as well as what can be done in the future. If we don't look at it ourselves as being great and love ourselves, then how will others love us? If we don't know what we stand up for and stand for, then we will fall for anything. Have you heard of that saying? So we have to know what we stand for and what we stand up for. We have to also know where we come from, because those who fail to know history are doomed to repeat it, right? And what we want to do is learn from history, so as we are innovators and create things, people can't take it away and then get say it was their invention or they created it when we did it. So like a whole bunch of times there was people who would create writings or songs, but they wouldn't get credit for it. They weren't getting paid for it. It would be out in somebody else's name, even though they created it. So we are proud and to know that these innovators, people of color, Black people, African Americans, Africans, who did have the boldness to not let their innovation, to not let things be taken away, and got the patents for this, such as Miss Alice Parker, who enabled us to have central heat today. And for those who live in the north, east and the northwest and the top part of the Midwest, who have winter 7 months out of the year. And when I say winter, I mean winter, where you don't get less than a foot for probably about 5 months out of the year, are great. I'm pretty sure you're great grateful to her for doing that. But a lot of people don't even know who to be grateful to for these things, right? So that's what we want to get out there. Yes, I am on the go. I just finished an accessory prayer. Do have a program we have to do today honoring one of the mothers of the church, her birthday, a little bit later on. So I will be out and about, as well as trying to spend some time with my fur baby, my doggy, making sure he's taken care of and all of that, as well as prepared to how I can be able to captivate the minds of the students that I have. Which captivating the minds of people, captivating and getting people motivated and inspired can be hard. And you can't just lean on yourself. It has, I think, certain people, that's an innate thing, right? And certain people have that and can have that drawing power, right? Certain people, when certain things happen in their lives, they're able to be lively and bring forth people. But the difference is, and this is where let's bring some God into this and some church and spiritual stuff in here. The difference in who being captivating, we can't just captivate, but we must learn how to captivate to transform the lives of people. Right? And what we're doing here with the honoring Black history, Black innovators, male and female, female and male, in the United States and across the world, specifically focusing on the ones in Africa, the continent of Africa, and then North America continent, okay? But specifically United States. What we want to do is build people's self-esteem, self-concept, because we have a lot of people in there in media and different things try to, spit out a narrative about the negativity of certain groups or certain genders, of certain people of color. But they don't want to tell all of the things that we created. Would we even have a cell phone without a Black person? Would we even have the internet without a Black person? No, we would not. All of those were created by Black men and women. Would we even have ice cream? Even though most people think in Italy, but Italy perfected something that a Black person created. All right, so or came up with peanut butter. Most people know about George Washington Carver. I can say the kids knew mostly about him. But when I started talking about Alice Parker, when I started talking about, and now Miss Gladys West, because of the movie, Hidden Figures. So the human computers and different things, some of that may be taught in certain schools or certain places, but because of the movies come out, they know. But what about all of these people who don't have movies to talk about what they did? What and then Mansa Musa, he does have there's some documentaries on Mansa Musa. There is some information out there. There may have been even movies created long ago. I don't think people create movies about Mansa Musa anymore. But you do have that. And now, this Black History Month, the past 5 years, I've seen dwindling of the Black History movies, especially since PBS, was attacked. And because PBS would come out with different, documentaries, especially during Black History Month of Black figures. They would have a lot of Martin Luther King Jr. stuff. They would have some Malcolm X stuff, right? Maybe some Medgar Evers stuff. But again, you hardly ever see the Black females being talked about, Alice Parker, Shirley Jackson. And then a lot of people don't even know about Gary Morgan inventing all the things that he invented. So all these great innovators, and I'm going to try to post every day a new, a Black innovator, whether they were from the United States or whether a Black innovator who was able to use their resources, and their intellect and was strategic enough to become the richest, like Mansa Musa, in the continent of Africa, right? Specifically, around the area of what is now known today as Mali. So we're going to go deeper diving into this. If you like this kind of content and this information, what we could do is not only for Black History Month, but for, Hispanic Heritage Month, for Native American Month. Of course, we celebrate, European history every day, right? And they talk about that every day. And you see them read the different books and have those books, that you have to read in school. But again, we have to learn how to bridge the gap to what is not being taught so that people will know what Dr. Shirley Jackson did. So people will know what Miss Alice Parker did. So people will know and not forget about Mansa Musa. So people will know the ones that they don't know, of course. Okay. So, that's what we are here to do. Not only spread the word of God and love of God, but we are here to be an innovator. We are here to be a pioneer. We are here not to be intimidated by those who consider themselves to be, the rulers of this world or the rulers of this country. Not to be intimidated by their narratives of what people do or don't do. We are going to create our own narrative here at Angels of Purpose. And we are going to inspire everybody to know that everybody is somebody, that everybody has come from people who have been contributors to society, contributors to this world, contributors to their community. And so give yourselves a hand. If you didn't know that before, I promise you, if you go back and research your lineage and be able to get that done in detail, you will find out some of the people in your lineage, some of your ancestors, some of the people presently living that you didn't know you were related to are people who you can say thank you for helping make your life easier today, allowing you to have central heat, allowing you to have the GPS system, allowing there to be a three-way light system, allowing people talk a lot about Thomas Edison, but if Thomas Edison didn't have Louis Latimer, who created the filament, which is what makes the light bulb work, we would not have a light bulb, right? And so the reason why Louis Latimer is not talked about, because he was a slave of Thomas Edison. And so back then people were considered chattel, right? All right. So the main person we're focusing on today, I did say, was Miss Alice Parker, but then, I started rambling and talking about all the other people too as well. Louis Latimer is great because, I did hear in one of the shows, what was that? There's a show that's on, ABC, that one of the, actors who play as a detective, black actors who play a detective, I did hear them throw it in. So the writers threw it in about Louis Latimer, and he made a joke saying that, yeah, without, y'all always be talking about Thomas Edison, but Louis Latimer is the one who created he said, but Louis Latimer is really the one who created the light bulb. But, if you go look specifically in there, most people will say he did the filament. But again, without the filament, the light bulb wouldn't work. So who is the true creator of the light bulb? To be truthful and honest with you, it's Louis Latimer, not Thomas Edison. But Thomas Edison gets credit for it because he was a slave owner during that time. And so whatever Louis Latimer created or invented, he was the one who got the praise for it, right? Because during those times, when Africans were used as captives from the continent of Africa and brought to these other places, they were looked at as chattel, not even people, which was so funny because the slave owners looked at the people as chattel, but some of the slave owners would also sleep with their chattel, which doesn't make any sense, does it now? And so it's funny now, and I have to be strategic and careful here, but it's funny now how some people in leadership will make fun and try to say black people came from apes and different things like that. But I'm going to just tell you this. If you don't know where you come from, then they will write a narrative to make you feel like your race and who you are nobodies. You were pagans. You didn't know anything before them. Which basically around the world, China created a whole bunch of spices, right? The African continent had a lot of resources. And then their people were their greatest resource. But Africa, as I said, yesterday's video was carved up by European, and they do teach this part, was carved up by European leaders, so that they could actually, this part they don't teach, but they just say was carved up by European leaders without any African leader being at the table. They say that part. What they don't say is how they prostituted the continent of Africa for its resources. And the resources included the people, right? And then what they tried to do was play the different tribes against one another, and they would have them sell the tribes captives to them, and they would try to make them do this by saying, well, we're going to give you some guns. We're going to give you this. We're going to, by enticing them and giving them stuff that, they hadn't maybe, utilized before or used, right? Because their things were more, their way of fighting was different. Doesn't mean it was more, it was beneath, but it just wasn't the way the Europeans did it. I'm not going to say, people may say it was more advanced, but just because you can create a gun and shoot gun with a gunpowder or cannon, all of that, doesn't mean you're more advanced as far as, because if you're fighting the other way and knowing the guerrilla tactics and all of this kind of stuff, you have to be more strategic and tactful, right? So everything that people do works together. All right. And every group, every ethnicity, every nationality, every person comes from something great. Nobody should be put down. Nobody should be belittled. Nobody should believe the narrative that their people are criminals, that their people are mainly, that their people are lazy or anything like that, because America would not be what it is without those Africans who they brought over here, without the Japanese who helped build the railroads, right? It would not be. And then, like I said, you have the stoplight. Most of the greatest inventions, most of the things that people enjoy today were done by African American females or African American males. And the greatest things people currently utilize today, and then Caucasians just built or enhanced it. But the main thing came from people of color. And this is why they try to tear down people of color so much, because they don't want you to realize who you are and whose you are and the greatness within you. Because if they can keep you down and don't allow you to realize the greatness within you, then they can continuously to control you, your thought process, your mindset, and the achievements that you can make. If they make you believe that you need their help, if they make you believe that you're nothing without them. Everybody is somebody, and we should work together, all races, all ethnicities, all nationalities, to make your society a better place, to make your community a better place, to make your world a better place. Because without all of us working together, we wouldn't have all these great inventions. We won't be living a comfortable life that we live, right? I even remember how people used to say the continent of Africa. You go to all parts of Africa and they're like a third world country. That's not true. You go to Nigeria. Nigeria is so much built up, especially the capital city of Nigeria is probably more built up and more technology advanced than most places in the United States. If you travel and go there. Not only that, it's other places on the continent of Africa, different cities, different countries, that is very progress. Now, those who aren't as progress, why is that? Why is that, do you think? And that Willie Lynch mentality that the a famous European Englishman, I think it was Englishman, invented to put people against each other, and they taught it in America so that the slaves will rise up. But they forgot about Nat Turner there, right? Nat Turner to believe that. And let me say this: how they try to picture and make Nat Turner like he was somebody that wasn't a good person. Nat Turner knew he was a person, and he did not stand for being a slave, and he was going to unify the people and get them together for their freedom, right? He was going to fight back. Nat Turner wasn't a terrorist. Nat Turner was saying, I am not your chattel. I am not to be owned by you. I am a person. I am somebody. Okay? But you hear their narrative, you won't hear it like that. So we just have to know our history for ourselves. We must have to research it before they won't allow us to have the research, before they turn everything on the internet and erase all history out of the internet.